Hey, what is up guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. Now if you watched my video yesterday, you will know that update 1.48 was announced with a maintenance update notice in game and both on the website for Gran Turismo. However, just a few hours later, these silhouettes did finally appear from Kaz over on Twitter, and these ones were much harder than typically usual to be able to, decipher and make out what exactly was coming to the game. There was a couple of obvious ones, but some not so much, and I'm here today to discuss, well, what exactly is coming with update 1.48 on Thursday. So car number one of this update does seem to be the JGTC Honda NSX from the year 2000, and I'm assuming it will come in that beautiful red and green Castrol livery. This is an absolute banger of a car to have for an update. It's been on the elite car list for what seems to be the longest time, and it does seem that it is finally coming to the game. A little bit different from what we have with the 08 model. As you may know, that is a completely different sort of, I guess, generation, we'll call it in a sense, in terms of the overall specs, as well as that is a more Super GT era, with this being the classic JGTC era that we all know and love from those early Gran Turismo games. It will probably be a pretty fairly obvious Group 2 machine, and again it just bolsters one of the best categories in the game, so absolutely fantastic to see this coming to the game. Again, like I mentioned, it did seem to be on that leaked car list for what seemed like absolutely forever, but it does seem to be finally coming as the hero car and the main showcase for this update. Car number two of this update, the next fairly obvious one in terms of the silhouettes, was the Nissan Skyline GTS, the R31 generation. Again, this is a bit of a Gran Turismo legend. I absolutely love this generation of Skyline. I believe it's one of the only GTR generations to actually never get a full-blown GTR model, but it is still absolutely awesome nonetheless. Perhaps one of the best looking cars to ever leave Japan, and an absolutely underrated gem. I am so happy to see this car in game, and I believe this may now actually fully complete the run of Skyline models and GTR models and such, so I'm pretty sure we now have every generation in game. Again, this is another car that's been on that leaked car list since I think day one, I want to say, when it first ever kind of got shown around in terms of the whole car leaks with like Lotuses and such on, and it has still remained until the most updated list that I've seen as well, and it does seem to finally be coming to the game with update 1.48. This for me is an absolute belter. So far we've got two very good additions and two very requested additions coming to the game. Next up, for the third car of the update, this will probably be the best one for me personally. That is the EG generation of Honda Civic. I absolutely cannot wait to get this one in game. Again, it was fairly obvious once you looked a bit closer at the silhouettes that it just surely has to be the EG. Again, another car from that leaked car list finally getting released in game. Obviously, prior to this, we did have the RCR Garage Civic, which is a very heavily modified version, but it does seem that the original base version from 1992 is coming to the game. The SIR II model, or 2, whatever we want to call it, does seem to be coming to the game. Hopefully this one does feature a bunch of customization options. I'm pretty sure it'll get a K20 swap at some point, and in my opinion, this is my absolute all-time favorite generation of the Honda Civic. So finally to see this one return after, always using it as sort of my starter car in the, older PS1 days and PS2 days of Gran Turismo is absolutely fantastic. So far for me personally, that is 3 very good cars out of 3. So let's move on to car number 4 and 5, which is a bit of a surprise since we actually have a new manufacturer coming to the game, and it is one that a lot of you guys have been asking for a very long time. So finally, a lot of you guys do have your wish. Volvo is coming to Gran Turismo 7. So what seems like absolutely years at this point, guys, you have been asking for Volvo to come to GT7. Always asking, well, where's Volvo? Where's this model? Where's that model? And for the longest time, the Volvo V40 R-Design, which you're seeing here, has been on the leaked car list, but never really shown its face. A lot of people in the end were kind of saying, well, maybe it's just a car brand that they, originally modeled would, and then maybe they couldn't just get the license to pop it in game, but it is finally happening. Volvo is coming to the game with not one but two cars. So the first you are seeing here is obviously the T5, so the V40 T5. That does seem to be coming to the game. It was a fairly obvious silhouette once you start looking at those sort of, you know, bonnet lines of the actual silhouette itself. So it does seem that that car is finally getting itself off that leaked car list, which means that in this update so far we have 4 out of the 5 cars that have actually been taken from that data mine. However, there is another car coming from Volvo, and for me this is perhaps one of the coolest additions we've ever had to GT7. It does seem to be that one of the silhouettes is probably the most iconic Volvo ever made, the 240, the big old tank in its wagon form. And I absolutely, if this one does turn out to be this car, cannot wait for this one. Again, when it comes to Volvos, I always think of those big bulky design brick cars that they had, and the 240 just comes straight to my mind. I absolutely love these things. For me, they are just absolutely incredible machines. They're well known for being not only ridiculously reliable, but built like absolute weaponry, and well, it does seem to finally be coming to the game. Again, this was perhaps one of the most difficult ones to make out in terms of its silhouette, but looking closely and looking over it many times, it surely has to be the 240 wagon. I absolutely cannot wait for this thing, and I know a lot of you guys will probably be insanely happy with this one. So it does seem that Volvo is finally coming to GT7 with, like I said, not one but 2 cars, and hopefully we start seeing more of their iconic classics and some of their absolutely amazing newer machines as their, I guess, lifespan in Gran Turismo 7 continues. So there we go, 5 new cars coming with update 1.48. We have a Group 2 race car, probably one of the more requested ones that I've seen in terms of Group 2 machinery, finally coming to the game. Very obvious, that silhouette. We have a JDM hot hatch, again, a very requested one. I know there's a lot of fans for things like the Del Sol and the EG Civic, myself included. I absolutely love those cars, and I hope to God they have the customization to match. Then obviously we have the 2 new Volvos. Great to see that brand finally getting itself in Gran Turismo, and again, like I mentioned, hopefully we do see it grow as time progresses and the manufacturer's been in game more and more. And then obviously we do have that R31 Skyline GTS. Again, overall this seems like a fairly fantastic update in terms of the cars. If you're a JDM lover, you've got yourself covered there. If you're into your Group 2 race cars, which I certainly am, and I do personally think they are the best class in game, then again you have an absolute JGTC icon coming to the game. And then obviously Volvo fans rejoice, they are finally headed to GT7. Anyway, that's going to be it for today's video. Let me know what you think of the update 1.48 cars down below. Have a fantastic rest of your day, guys. Take care. Peace.